Hi, I'm Nancy Barrow. I'm the Engagement and Podcast Director for Connecticut Paid Leave. And this is a new interview series called 5 Minutes of Impact, short but powerful conversations with Connecticut Changemakers. And our changemaker today is Brandon Gardner, the founder and the CEO of Love Kingdom. And welcome to 5 Minutes of Impact, Brandon.
Thank you, Nancy. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Well, so glad to have you here, and I can't wait to find out a little bit more about Love Kingdom. So tell me what you do and tell me, who do you help?
So I am an author of the book Madison Ministry, but I am the CEO and founder of the Love Kingdom Incorporated. We provide mental and behavioral health challenges for youth ages 5 to 18, and we also provide resources for the parents.
And is there a certain project or initiative that you're working on that you're really proud of, Brandon?
So right now we're gearing up on our first annual Men's and Mental Health Back to School conference. We're going to partner with local organizations in our community that's involved in mental health. We're going to partner with NAMI. We're going to partner with Mental Health America, Wellness Clinic, and Weaver High School and Achievement First School. Just put on a motivating, inspiring back to school conference for men and encourage the men and the parents to seek awareness as it relates to their mental health and tap into local resources.
It's so important, and it's such a great space that you're working in. A lot of stigma in mental health, and I think what you're doing is going to really help that a lot.
Absolutely. In the inner city communities is something that we don't really talk about as a community. We run from the stigma or of the embarrassment or the shame. But I like to tell people your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and we shouldn't separate the two. The two are one.
Right. I always tell people, like, if you break a leg, you're going to go to a doctor, and if your mental health is broken, you need to go get help. It's just as important. So I love this message that you're getting out there, Brandon.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
And how can people watching this interview get in touch with you, Brandon, at the Love Kingdom?
So they can get in touch with me personally at Brandon Gardner on Facebook and on Instagram at 7OVEINC.
Okay. And Brandon, can you give me a final thought that you want our viewers to take away from this conversation?
Final thought would be your story is not a hill to hide behind, but is a fortress to stand on.
I love that. I think that's a really important one. And do you have some future goals and priorities at Love Kingdom? What are you doing moving forward? I'm sure you have some goals because you seem like you're a pretty inspirational guy.
Yeah, so we got the back to school event in a few weeks. Then we're working on having our own building so we could provide our clients with more resources and more opportunity. Right now, we partner with Parker Memorial, and we're also working on our first retreat, male and female retreat, where the kids could get used to being away from home and applying the knowledge that they have learned throughout the summer and throughout the fall.
That's fantastic. That really is. How did you come up with the name Love Kingdom?
So I was on a 30-day fast after I wrote my book, Madison Ministry, and I wanted a concept for merchandise. And what I came up with is I read 1 Corinthians, love is kind, love is patient. And I say, you know what, I'm just going to make the L a 7. 7 is the seventh letter of the alphabet is G. So I'm saying God's love. God's love is unchanging.
I love the fact that you were really creative with the title. It's very catchy and
conversation starter is a conversation. And sometimes we get people, well, I don't believe in God. Well, 7 is also the number of completion. And as human, we're complete, regardless of whatever our mental health is, whatever our circumstances or challenges are.
I think what you do is so important in the community. I think destigmatizing mental health is super important. So thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you guys for answering what you guys do, and thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. And where can people find you on social media? Because everybody's on social media, Brandon.
So they can find me on Instagram at 7OVEINC, and then on Facebook, Brandon Gardner.
Beautiful. And that's all the time we have on 5 Minutes of Impact, short but powerful conversations with Connecticut Changemakers. And I want to thank our changemaker, Brandon Gardner, founder and CEO of Love Kingdom, for joining us today. It was such a pleasure talking with you, Brandon.
Likewise, Nancy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Nancy Barrow, and for a deeper dive into Connecticut paid leave, please listen to the Paid Leave podcast on our website at ctpaidleave.org. And thanks so much for joining us.